Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we turn to talking about the upcoming movie coming out this weekend, Men in Black International. This will be the fourth entry in the series, and the first to not star Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, the original Men in Black on the big screen. Taking over for them are two prominent actors from Marvel's Thor series, Chris Hemsworth aka Thor himself, and Tessa Thompson aka Valkyrie, the so-called first lesbian for the MCU too. And it looks like that kind of wokeness has followed Tessa T into this new series as well, because now we're getting reports that Men in Black is getting woke this week as well. And while we're not getting any groaner SJW influenced lines coming out yet, like what happened with the last big blockbuster, X-Men Dark Phoenix, but we are getting a similar theme which they also used. Yes, much like how Dark Phoenix tried to turn the X-Men into the X-Women, so too is the new Men in Black. They're trying to become Women in Black or something similar. A recent interview with Tessa Thompson herself has her spouting off something like that, and I have to say already, I'm really disappointed here. Not surprised really, it's current year and this liberal takeover can happen to anything, but I had hoped Men in Black International would make it all the way to the finish line without getting politically correct. They were doing really good so far too. I actually loved the trailers for this movie, the cast even looked awesome, and I was certainly excited to see this new chapter in the franchise. I'm still a little excited even, but hearing about this Women in Black BS is certainly making me second guess things already. In the end though, the X-Woman line didn't ruin Dark Phoenix too much, but that project was already struggling in many other areas. Haven't heard nearly as many bad things about Men in Black International's production, so maybe they'll still pull this off. We'll see. For more information on this Men in Black getting woke story, let's turn to an article from Bounding Into Comics called Tessa Thompson, Agent M will force Men in Black to change name. Well, I don't like the sound of that already, but let's go ahead and read on anyway and give them a chance, I suppose. Tessa Thompson took to the red carpet for the premiere of Men in Black International, where she stated that her character Agent M will work to get the Men in Black to change their name. Thompson's statement came after she was asked by Variety, what do you think about the title then? Because obviously Men in Black is a known franchise as a title, but were there any other ideas since you are a woman? Thompson responded, well, I think first of all we wanted to make sure that people know that this is the franchise they know and love, because it is. And my presence in it, because I'm a woman, shouldn't diminish the fact that we're making a movie very much in the same tone and style of the original films. She continues, but I think, Emma Thompson has a brilliant quip in the movie where I say, Men in Black, because I'm confused that is the title of the organization, and she goes, I know, I've had the conversation, it's taking time. Ruh-roh. Not a good look already, lady. Tessa is basically admitting that they need the Men in Black title to stay, because it has great name recognition, which is certainly true and completely obvious. Even a spin-off within the Men in Black world would need to be set up within the film somehow beforehand, before they could go making some new one called Women in Black or People in Black even, or something else stupid. This is also looking over the fact that there's really no problem here to begin with. Men in Black is a term that can refer to both genders already. It's not like Tessa Thompson's character is the first female in the Men in Black universe or anything. We've already seen a number of girls in the series before, and using the term men or man is a common way to address all humans already, male or female. It's like the term mankind, which for example was famously used by the astronauts when they first landed on the moon in 1969, saying, one small step for mankind. Now, do you think those guys just meant the males when they said that? No, of course they didn't. But for some reason, namely social justice warrior whining, well, saying men, man, or mankind is offensive now or something, because it doesn't include women supposedly, according to left-wingers. And well, I'm here to say you're all just being paranoid. You're overthinking this. No one is trying to exclude you when they call their movie Men in Black International. It's just a traditional name from an established movie series that's based off a beloved comic book series. So stop looking too far into it and stop being so defensive, Tessa Thompson, because in my experience, people who are this upset and defensive all the time, well, they're the ones who are afraid people will find out they're hack frauds and phony. Thompson adds, I think what she speaks to is funny, but true, is that change happens sometimes faster than we have language to describe what change has occurred. Wow, she's so deep. Or maybe she thinks she's very smart. Insofar as we have certain institutions that have antiquated ways of working, the institutions of structuralized racism, some other BS nonsense words, Hollywood is certainly one of them. Where we don't have the infrastructure to support the change that is actually happening. I think what she is speaking to is there has always been representation in the organization. It hasn't always been reflected in the title. Thompson then notes Agent M will work to change the title of the organization if they decide to make more movies. And maybe if we make more, maybe that will change. And certainly I think if Agent M sticks around the organization long enough, she will probably push some buttons to make it change. And frankly, that's the only way that things change. People on the inside that have a real stake, really calling the the institutions out. More talk about bullshit institutions. And well, wow, yuck. I'm getting some real Ghostbusters 2016 vibes from this part here. And ironically enough, Chris Hemsworth, the co-star in Men in Black International, he was also the male co-star in the Ghostbusters 2016 movie. I think that might be a sign here. This is a big omen, guys. We might want to avoid this stinker now, even though I previously thought Men in Black International could look cool. But now I'm worried, and also, I hear the early reviews are coming in and they aren't looking too good either. It's ranking pretty low, right down there next to X-Men's Dark Phoenix. And that is to say, the ratings are in the shitter too. Could have another flop on our hands here, and now I think we all know why. Studios making movies can't resist getting woke these days and going all girl power, pro-feminist, and all that nonsense. And this trend wouldn't necessarily be bad on its own either. It's possible to do PC movies in a right way, surely, but so far, these comedic lady reboots of already beloved and established male-led series, these comedies like Ghostbusters 2016, Ocean's 8, and now Men in Black International, well, they just don't compare to the originals at all. Call it nostalgia if you will, but quite frankly, I think it's just not as good. And I don't like the way the girls come into these series and take over and start changing the drapes and renaming the place even. This approach comes off rather disrespectful and very off-putting to say the least. And how dare Tessa Thompson go on to attack and criticize Hollywood on top of all this? The place that made her rich and famous. Jeez. Quit pretending the studios and everyone in Los Angeles is racist or some shit, Tessa. Please. As if her and other blacks and women or minorities, or even LGBTQ people, as if they're not getting enough parts in films already. You are. And this chick complaining, Tessa Thompson, she's a millionaire, acting as if she's oppressed in Hollywood or some shit. Give me a goddamn break, lady. And I hadn't said this before yet, but this reminds me, hearing Tessa Thompson complain and pretend Tinseltown has a long way to go to reach equality is pretty rich, since this chick has been in everything lately. She's in every single movie in the last couple years or so. Here's just what she did last year. The movie's called Sorry to Bother You, Annihilation, Furlough, Little Woods, Dirty Computer, and Creed 2. That's 6 movies, but it's still not enough for Tessa T. And this isn't even mentioning the fact that she's also a prominent figure in franchises like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, appearing in the last Thor movie and the new Avengers one, Avengers Endgame, which is pretty much the biggest movie of all time. But somehow, in some way, Tessa Thompson still wants to say Hollywood has an antiquated way of thinking, as if they're still battling harsh racism there or something. What a joke. And nothing's worse than a minority who's also a millionaire trying to complain about racism and oppression that, frankly, doesn't really exist anymore. Regardless, let's move on and check out this video of Tessa addressing the Men in Black name on the red carpet.
That will change, and certainly I think if Agent N sticks around the organization long enough, she will probably push some buttons to make it change, and frankly, that's the only way that things change, is people on the inside that have a real stake, really, calling the institutions out.
As if this formula needs a lot of change anyway. I don't know, maybe it needs some. I could perhaps see Men in Black needing some fresh faces, new stories, and perhaps a scenery change. And that's why I like seeing Chris Hemsworth and Liam Neeson were also in the new movie. I also like how it was moved and reset to the city of London. This is a great idea in my opinion, and I was even on board for Tessa as the other new agent, at least in the beginning. The trailer and the poster all looked fine, but the more I hear this actress talk, and the more she turns me off every word she says. And sure, her performances can still be fine and dandy too, but they're really nothing special either. She's just a serviceable hot chick most of the time, and sometimes she's the annoying girlfriend too, like how she is in Sorry to Bother You and the Creed franchise, which, now that I mention it, that's another major franchise Tessa's a part of now. The Rocky movies based on boxing, well, that series successfully turned into a spin-off about Creed with the Creed movie in 2015, and also it had Tessa Thompson as his girlfriend and eventual wife to Creed himself. She's a main character, and that's another major franchise she's a part of, and another reason Tessa shouldn't be complaining, but I digress. The point here is Tessa is overvaluing herself, and she's speaking out about stuff that she's clearly wrong on. Not to mention, she's making me more and more worried about this Men in Black sequel by the minute, something I was initially excited for, being a big fan of the original movies, but now I'm more worried than interested. I'm still going to see it, maybe in a matinee or something though. I'm definitely not going to cough up the big bucks for IMAX or anything like that. Not anymore. You see, the way I see it now is not like before. before at all. Instead of looking like a spin-off of Men in Black taking place in London that happened to have a black girl as the lead opposite Chris Hemsworth, well, instead of that, now I'm being more and more reminded of Ghostbusters 2016, where they made a lady reboot but then still squeezed in Chris Hemsworth as the male side because he's likable and safe and mainstream. And with that in mind, Tessa Thompson doesn't seem so much like a new character in Men in Black anymore. Really, it looks like she's just a lady reboot of Will Smith's character from the first movies. Think about it. They're both black and they're both new in Men in Black when they enter. And they also make wisecracks all the time and have a more experienced and white guy partner training them. So with all that said, this is basically a girl reboot slash spin-off of the original Men in Black. And while it's still possible it could be a good movie, I wouldn't put my money on it. Thompson's comments are eerily similar to Marvel Studios producer Victoria Alonso, who stated the name X-Men was outdated. The Men in Black movie franchise is based off the comic book series created by Lowell Cunningham, with the series first illustrated by Sandy Carruthers. The first series, which consisted of 3 issues, was originally published by Aircel Comics. A second series would be published by Malibu Comics. Marvel Comics would eventually acquire Malibu Comics and publish a number of one-shot comics when the first Men in Black film was released. Here's a look at the opening page of the original Men in Black comic book series. And that's a pretty cool looking comic, I must admit. If only the new movie looked as badass and intimidating as the vibe is in this comic book panel. Really, the movies turned out much more goofy and more over the top and comedic. Nothing wrong with that turn to comedy either. I and many others really like the way the original Men in Black films turned out. But the thing about comedy and humor is it takes the best of actors to pull it off. You can't fake or force comedic timing, and fortunately, most of the cast of Men in Black International has the chops for this. I've seen both Chris Hemsworth and Liam Neeson pull off both serious and comedic roles with ease and grace, but not so much Tessa Thompson. She may play good off of other people though, so hopefully her supporting cast can prop her up because she's gonna need it. In the end, Men in Black International has certainly become a mixed bag in terms of appeal and likability. On one hand, the trailers look decent, but now one of the actors is becoming a PC activist, and the project is going down the same get woke, go broke path that X-Men Dark Phoenix stumbled down last week. And also, as mentioned, these similarities between other lady reboots is worrisome at best, and it could be catastrophic for the entire movie's release and run at worst. We'll see how it all plays out soon, I suppose. Until then, what do you guys think? Was Tessa Thompson right? Does the name Men in Black need to be updated for current year? Are blacks and other minority groups still oppressed in Hollywood, like how the multi-millionaire, multi-franchise leading actress Tessa T suggests? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time.